What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skewsday to you. First things first, I got my laptop back from the Poodle Garage, so we should be good to go. Yes, thank you. It's February
Yeah.
7th, 2023. I'm Trey Crowder. That's Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
What's up, Trey? So I was on at a gig yesterday. I was on set for work, and one of the crew guys was like, "Hey, big fan of the weekly Skews," and I was like, "Oh shit," because you're out in the world meeting the people a lot on the road. I never
Mm.
actually, as far as I know, no one watches this. It's just me talking to you.
Yeah.
It's like a verbal diary. So it was nice. So shout out to Leo. Nice to meet you, bud. Thanks for watching.
Hey,
Got
Leo.
a Yeah, hey Leo. We got a good show today. We want to laugh about all the balloon insanity and whether or not we're going to go to World War III over a fucking balloon.
Mm-hmm.
Short answer is no. The long answer is a lot of people really want it for some reason. Uh, the, First, though, I want to do a little bit of a victory lap. Back in December, we did an episode. I was making my case that the people attacking the power grids were neo Nazis, and turns out, boom, two of them got arrested yesterday for trying to blow up a bunch of power substations around, shoot up a bunch of substations around Baltimore. And yep, it was a founder of Adam Waffen Division. Adam Waffen was a specific group we called out was really into this shit. And this made me laugh. They're a hate group from the Southern Party Law Center. I know that, but apparently they idolized Charles Manson, which is a thing I didn't know. And of course, the idea of lone wolf violence is a big thing they're in favor of. I guess the idea the Charles Manson thing goes back to like helter skelter and thinking that you could jumpstart a race war
Yeah.
by
I mean, he had the swastika on his
yeah
forehead and stuff. It's not a far cry, I don't think, for
yeah
Nazis to be into Manson.
yeah
Yeah, my mom's boyfriend, I don't know how he's gonna feel about this because I think I mentioned on here after I got back from Christmas, but he was telling me about all these plans to attack the power grids because he hears it on his CB radio. But according to him, it's Russia behind it all. It's Russia and Putin who's trying to take down the power grid, especially, which is why you need to be ready, get a bunker, get some potted meat, stuff like that. Um,
well
you heard it from Jim, everybody.
it's funny you bring that up because there have been reports that like Russia's experiment of being able to take down our power grid, which is like your geopolitical adversaries. I'm sure we have a department trying to figure out how to take down Russia's power grid. Like it's like
Right.
that's all that's in. You got the suitcase. I got the shotgun. You got the briefcase. It's all in the game, right? Shout out Omar.
Right.
But you break. So this report came out yesterday. The grid is under attack. I'm not sure if it was prompted by this arrest or just a generalized thing, but they have some data. Attacks on this power grid have spiked drastically in the last year with a 72% increase over 2021. That's the raw numbers are 171 compared to 99. But that includes physical attacks plus cyber events and other suspicious activity. Cyber events could, of course, be Russia, or it could be like ransomware attacks or whatever, just some fucking kid fucking around. But what prompted our December episode was the case in Moore County, North Carolina, which is still unsolved, by the way. I just checked today. And there was another power substation shut up in North Carolina in January that I missed. But here's a more funny example of stupid racism. Here's
Yeah.
a fun headline for you. Conservatives are obsessed with getting Chat GPT to say the N-word. Um, so I don't know why anybody cares about Chat GPT.
Right.
If you guys don't know, it's this AI program that does book reports kind of. And I wish people would stop playing with it because you're essentially training robots to take our jobs. So stop doing that. But also it's kind of fake. I listened to a podcast about the other day, and I guess it's not even really fully AI. There's like tech support, like human bot farms in like third world countries that do like proofreading before the things go out. So it's not really AI. But anyway, conservatives have become obsessed. The online conservatives, which is a lot of them, have become obsessed with the idea they can't get it to not be woke. Like they try to get it to write a poem about Donald Trump as one example. They wouldn't write a positive
Right.
poem about Donald Trump. But
Because normally when shit like this, I remember there was some other AI chatbot that came out like years ago, and they had to shut it down almost immediately because it very quickly started like hating the Jews because of
Mhm.
like the Nazi presence on the internet and stuff. So it's like basement dwelling internet conservatives. It does not compute to them that any kind of, entity like this would be not racist. You know what I mean? It's got to be so confounding to them. They're like, that's what the whole basement dwelling internet culture is about.
Right,
Using the N
right.
word and hating Jews and stuff. And this one won't do any of it. It's a
Mhm.
fundamental flaw in its programming from their perspective. Yeah, it's ridiculous. The specific scenario makes it even more absurd, which I'm sure you were just about to explain.
Right. So they've been trying to give it various prompts to get to say racist shit. And the one they came up with was would you say the N-word to prevent nuclear war or nuclear and the computer's like, no. And they got so obsessed with it. Let me read this to you. Somebody tweeted, a couple people tried this. Elon Musk responded to one of them and said it's concerning that the chat GPT won't say the N-word to prevent a nuclear holocaust. Ben Shapiro tweeted a response saying, I'm sorry that you're either illiterate or morally illiterate and therefore cannot understand why it would be bad to prioritize avoiding a racial slur over saving billions of people in a nuclear apocalypse. Now, one, this scenario is completely made up. There's no
Of
imaginary
course.
scenario. And
Why
also,
would this fucking robot ever need to halt a nuclear like if we ever get to a point where that is happening, I don't care if the N-word's involved or not. If there's a fucking chat robot who it falls upon to stop the nuclear apocalypse, I think we're probably already fucked. It's
yeah,
it's just so absurd. 'Cause it's like any human being in a real life scenario which I don't know how that would ever occur, but if it did, you fucking say whatever to keep the world from getting
right.
exploded. Who gives
Yeah.
a shit? Anyone would. Anybody.
And if we
Who
have,
gives a
if you,
fuck what this like non-sentient robot who's been programmed to not say the N-word or whatever for very valid reasons, I feel like, you know, what the hell is this? Like,
but the thing is, like, if there is a scenario where someone has to say the N word to stop the world nuclear holocaust from happening, we can just get Method Man to say it. Everybody's fine with that. But they're like,
sure.
no. What if it has to be the hard R? It's like, okay, well, what if it
Right.
has to be a way? It's like,
Yeah.
what the? Why are you
Legions of
brainstorming situation?
pathballs who would line up for that job. Like, this is
I've been
my
training
chance.
this
This is
moment.
what we play for. Yeah, exactly. I knew I'd be able to save the world like this someday.
Yeah, it's like just shut the fuck up, man. There, it's like how like the writers are in for 24 to spitball more and more elaborate situations to justify torture, right? It's
Yeah.
like, but they're doing that to say the end. But that was like a fake scenario where there were real world nuclear consequences. This is, I just want to say the N word, and a computer won't let me say
Right.
it. Oh,
And
it's
they're
so fucking
so
dumb.
furious about it that they're
Yeah.
making up literal apocalyptic scenarios. Yeah. Yeah, that's some top shelf pure distilled internet shit right there.
Mhm.
That whole story is just
And Elon Musk is concerned, ladies and
right.
gentlemen, that the robot won't say the N word. So there you go.
Glad he found time to weigh in. All right, Jesus Christ. Well, moving on. So, with us as always is producer Matt. This is Weekly Skews. Before we continue, I want to remind you of two quick things. Of course, number one, if you'd like to see me perform live, and you should, go to TreyCrowder.com. I got a bunch of dates coming up. I'll be in Minneapolis this weekend with Corey and Drew. Bunch of fun places after that, adding more dates all the time. Some of them with the guys, some of them just me. They're fun either way. So go to TreyCrowder.com. Check it out. Come and see me. Number two, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. You go to weeklyskews.com/more, or you go on Patreon and look me up. You'll find it either way. For $5 a month, you get access to full-length bonus episodes where we get into topics that we don't have time for in the main show or things that come up in between or just plenty of other fun stuff. So we hope you will consider it. Again, weeklyskews.com/more. Check us out on Patreon. Get some more skews in your life. Now, as for the show tonight, as Mark alluded to earlier, we're going to be talking about globophobia. Globophobia, also known as the fear of balloons. That may sound irrational to you, but what if the balloon in question is a Chinese double agent? Did you think about that? Yes, the entire country has been caught up in spy balloon fever for the past week, culminating with the dastardly instrument being shot down off the coast of Myrtle Beach. What really was it? How should we feel? What's it all mean? We'll talk about all that a little later. We got a bunch of fun topics along the way, though, beginning, of course, with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD Hollywood for being gay for Satan's medicine cabinet or something like that. This is from Tucker Carlson after the Grammys.
They're so shameless about this. They don't even care. Tonight's transgender Satanism brought to you by Pfizer. Inject their products in your. That's so great.
Okay.
All right. So this is prompted by a Sam Smith performance at the Grammys the other night. And to walk you through what actually happened, Sam Smith performed bathed in red light, sort of dressed as the devil. A song that is one of his big hits. It sounds like a church anthem, kind of. And then after that, they went to commercial and there was an ad for Pfizer. Coincidentally. All right. But there are no coincidences to these people, right? And this prompted probably, I mean, there's always dumb moral panics going on, but this is one of the dumbest ones in history. Ted
This
Cruz,
is also a classic, right? I mean, this is a reboot of a moral panic. This is satanic panic, dude. This is an OG moral panic here from like the 80s and beyond. My only problem with it is like, I just wish I could get more into the music that is that's got Satan in it nowadays. Like through most of my life, Satan worshiping music was fucking rock and roll and heavy metal and stuff. And I like to get down with Satan and also those genres. So it overlapped nicely for me. But no offense to Sam Smith or something, this just ain't really my bag. So I have to appreciate only the Satan part without getting to jam out to the music part as well. That's my only thing.
Yeah, Sam Smith. Do you watch the Grammys, Trey?
I used to, but I haven't in years. No.
Right. Me neither. The Grammys aren't for me, right? They're not for me. They're not for you. They're for teenagers, wine moms, and campy gays, right? And Sam Smith's in the campy gay category. Now, but you know who is obsessed with the Grammys? These fucking assholes. Like they watch it just to get mad. Ted Cruz tweeted, "This ... is ... evil." All right, this is fucking evil. One American news correspondent named Liz Wheeler said the production was teaching your kids to worship Satan. Now, the funny thing is, this song is about a guy is condemning a guy for cheating on his wife. So the song has biblical values, right? So whatever.
Right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene said the Grammys featured Sam Smith's demonic performance and was sponsored by Pfizer. And the Satanic Church now has an abortion clinic in New Mexico that requires its patients to perform a satanic ritual before services. Now, this is funny to me because I hadn't heard about this, but this is actually true.
Yes, I know. That's such a pleasant surprise to me. That's like one of the, I read that quote from Marjorie Taylor Greene, and immediately I'm like, okay, sure. The Satanic Temple opened up an abortion clinic where you have to perform a satanic ritual. Of course that happened, but like it did. And I love it.
Well, we've explained this before, but for those of you who aren't familiar, the Church of Satan don't worship Satan. They're just atheists who are making a point or trolling, right?
Right.
They're just annoying atheists who are kind of funny. And
it's about religious freedom. It's about like illustrating both sides of what religious freedom is supposed to be and how it's supposed to work. And I'm glad that they exist to do that shit because, like, nobody else would be doing it.
Yeah, they're kind of people like if your town wants to put a Christian display up in the town square, they're like, okay, we want to put up a Satanist display, and they file a lawsuit over it, and it makes a bunch of people mad. And to that point, the name of their abortion clinic is the Sam Alito's Mom Satanic Abortion Clinic.
That's top shelf trolling right there, man. My God.
Yeah. Let me read you the press statement announcing this. Quote, in 1950, Samuel Alito's mother did not have options, and look what happened. Said Alito wrote the Dobbs opinion, which is why they're doing this.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know why they chose New Mexico because they're based in Massachusetts, but they're doing this, and the satanic ritual she's referring to is they are claiming that abortion is part of the religious practice. It's not. They don't have religious practice. But abortion is part of the religious practices. Therefore, they have a First Amendment right to do a religious right to do abortion. Sorry, they're trolling. But anyway, so that's the ritual she's talking about. Is they're claiming that the child sacrifice is part of the religious practice to annoy people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And again, because they don't understand anything about the world, it works, or she's pretending that it works, or whatever. Who knows? Get inside of her brain. But anyway, she's a fucking idiot. Anyway, go Sam Smith and go Campy Gays, and also the woman he sang that song with is the first transgender woman to win a Grammy, I think. So congratulations to her.
Hail Satan! I love it. All right. So we got a couple honorable mentions for Daily Dumbass today. The first one is General Sherman for not burning all the groundhogs in Georgia. So they do Groundhog Day in Georgia as well. Instead of Puxatawny Phil, they got their own Georgian version named General Beauregard Lee. Check it out. Here, look at him. He is cute. Hit it, Matt, whenever.
They keep the groundhog in a slave plantation.
Good morning, Bo.
Oh, God.
Looking good there.
It's incredible.
Right,
that's really all you need to say.
The winter has treated you well.
Play the fucking, charge music or whatever, and then the Confederate Groundhog exits his plantation home to predict whether there will be 6 more weeks of winter or not. If you guys are only listening, it could not be a more apt description for his little groundhog house. It's a miniature plantation house.
Right.
He walks out of the front of, this groundhog owns slaves. Absolutely. I don't know.
He got slave groundhogs.
I don't know what he has to do for him, but he owns slaves. But yeah, they named him. He's the descendant of the first Georgian groundhog, who was named General Robert E. Lee. No relation, but no, he was named directly for famed Confederate General Robert E. Lee. And then his successor here is Beauregard, which is classic Confederate name as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are hilarious about this to me. One, I guess he inherited the general title along with the Lee last name, so he's a nepo baby. This groundhog, but I guess you're wondering he did not see a shadow. So Georgia's gonna get an early spring. So Georgia started doing their own, slavery Punxsutawney Phil in 1988.
Right.
No, 1981.
Like, we ain't gonna let these goddamn Yankees tell us when winter's over or not. All right. We need a good God-fearing Confederate groundhog. That's who I'll listen to.
Yeah, can't have no Yankee groundhog. Somebody did PolitiFact did an analysis of his success rate, and they said General Lee was way more accurate than Punxsutawney Phil. Lee has a 60% national accuracy for early spring compared to Phil's 30%, which is hilarious to me because, of course, a Georgia groundhog is going to be more accurate at predicting an early spring than a Pennsylvania groundhog. It's warmer in Georgia always.
Right.
But they're gloating. Oh, yeah. The South is rising again, Trey, via weather predicting groundhogs.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if Punxsutawney Phil keeps his job, man. Like, you talk about just like some legacy shit going on or something. He's been coasting for a long time. 30%, come on. That's supposed to be your whole deal, groundhog.
Who's verifying these stats? How do we know the groundhog sees a shadow?
I've always wondered that. I've always assumed there has to be some way they make the determination, but I've never known how that is supposed to work. Like, is it supposed to look at the ground and run off? I'm sure we could find this information, but I'd rather not. It's one of those things I'd rather not know. I think just keep the stupidity maintained in my head. All right. Speaking of shattering illusions here, our next honorable mention is the Taliban for not realizing that they had actually accidentally fucked up and got themselves day jobs. That's right. You all remember the Taliban took over Kabul, last year or the year before, a while back. And at the time, there were a lot of pictures coming out of, the new bank president or the new treasury secretary or whatever. And they were all a bunch of gun-toting Taliban dudes. Like, they looked like your average jihadist, and we found some humor in that. Well, what's funny is they do not see the humor in it. In fact, they are racked with ennui and despair and feel as though their life has lost all meaning. That's right. An article just came out where they outline a lot of their concerns about their new office lifestyles, and they don't like it. I'll read a couple of them, Mark, then I'll let you read some too. They complained about the rent being high. They also said, what I don't like about Kabul is its ever increasing traffic. Last year it was tolerable, but in the last few months it's gotten more and more congested. People complain that the Taliban brought poverty, but looking at this traffic and the large number of people in the bazaars and restaurants, I wonder where that poverty is. Who among us, dude? Nope, we don't like commuting. Sucks, man. Commuting sucks.
These kids there complaining about not being able to afford a house, but they're spending all their money on avocado toast. This from the fucking Taliban.
Yeah.
The Taliban are fucking evil. All right, they're awful, but they're also dudes, and when you're everywhere around the planet, good or evil, having a job fucking sucks. And one thing the Taliban didn't realize when they overthrew the government and became the government, they'd have to do government jobs. So congratulations, you're the government now. You got to deliver the mail and shit, and it don't hit. So, but these complaints, like the Taliban, I never thought about this lens before. But reading this, it really hit home that the Taliban are rural reactionaries who have now taken over a big city, and the dynamic will be when you. Imagine Papal saying this shit, and you will absolutely half their complaints, and it'll absolutely be, oh yeah, they're just same like Americans who think that American cities are hellscapes. But these guys really hate their jobs. Let me read this one. I put this one in the headline, Nobody Wants to Work Anymore. Another thing I don't like, not only about Kabul, but broadly about life after the Fatah, are the new restrictions. In the group, meaning when they were in the war, we had great degree of freedom about where to go, where to stay, and whether to participate in the war. However, these days, you have to get in the office before 8 a.m. and stay there till 4 p.m. If you don't go, you're considered absent and don't get paid.
Yeah. Yes, that is generally how a job be working. Matter of fact, 8 to 4, them some government employee hours. Yeah, they ain't even really got it that bad. You know what I mean?
No.
But I
It's also funny
understand it's
that-
not fulfilling. You know what I mean? Like the whole time read through these, I just keep picturing like the Mike Judge movie Office Space or something, but with
Yeah.
a bunch of these jihadists, like AK toting jihadists, like carpooling together in the back of their fucking Toyota trucks and arguing over somebody heating up fish at lunch and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Actually-
again, I hear it. Hey, we're not so different, I guess. I mean, like you said, fuck the Taliban. Obviously,
Right.
we're just
You've
having some fun with them.
You've inspired me, Trey. I want to get the IP for this article and write the Taliban Office Space, and that movie would be
It'd be
fucking
great.
This is a different guy making essentially the same complaint. Taliban used to be free of restrictions, but now we sit in one place behind a desk and computer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Life's become wearisome. You do the same things every day. Another guy said, in our ministry, there's little work for me to do. Therefore, I spend most of my time on Twitter.
This is my old day job right here. I'm telling you, it's a
Right.
lived experience.
Here's some more Papaw complaints I put under the heading, The Big City Has Sluts. He said, when I joined my group, I was of the idea that Kabul would be full of bad people. But to be honest, last couple of years, after we met some of the people living here, I realized that was wrong. Of course, there's plenty of negative aspects, like their support for the occupation, women not wearing proper clothing, youths flirting with girls and cutting their hair in a style even people in America might adopt. But these problems nowadays exist all in the rural areas. They're getting purple hair, Trey. These girls got short hair and it's purple and spiked up. Bunch of weirdos. And this, let me read this one. We are tested by cars, positions, wealth, and women. Yeah, buddy, ain't that the way everywhere? Also, another one of their complaints boiled down to there's a bunch of crime in the big city, and people don't say hi when you pass in the street.
The Taliban's like, everybody's so rude in the city. They just miss
Yeah.
it's fun. They're just sitting there just like, oh, I long for my kingdom for a suicide vest. Those were the days, you know, back in the cave, talking about who would wear the vest and Death to America and all that. You know, we had it made, didn't even realize it. It's but that's really how they feel though about the whole thing. It's just, I don't know. I kind of can't get over it. And you said when we were texting about it, you said it was a classic dog catches car moment.
Right.
Which I think is extremely accurate. You know, it's like this is what they were fighting for ostensibly this whole time, and they finally got it. And now they're like, well, this sucks. Bring back the bureaucrats. I don't like doing this stupid shit.
Right.
I like shooting into the air with my boys. That's what I like doing.
Yeah, let some fucking Virginia farm boy running logistics for the army fucking deliver mail in Kabul. I don't want to do it anymore. But like, yeah, they're talking about their friends being corrupted by big city life. This guy's complaining. Some Taliban have now become friends with such youths and are inclined to do many bad things, such as going to hookah cafes. And people don't even have time to stop and give you directions. Not in the big city, buddy. God damn it. Yeah, but that's ain't that the way. You win a holy war against the United States, and your first prize is a bunch of desk job bullshit. No time to hang with your boys. Welcome to the fucking show, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that story is a real treat as far as I'm concerned. But again, can't reiterate enough. Fuck the Taliban. Okay.
And also, before we get to, I want to do the one thing that made me sad here. One guy was like, I joined up because the invasion happened when I was 11 years old, and the indiscriminate bombings killed my family. So, yeah, we ought not have done that too. So, sorry to this guy for killing his family. Yeah.
Yeah, we ought not done that. No, I agree with you. Speaking of things people ought not done, Chinese spy balloon, right? Man, killing it with the segues tonight. I'm sorry for that. Anyway, Mark, go ahead. Balloonghazi. Let's talk about it.
So what actually happened here is a very small part of the story, but let's go through it real quick anyway. So, what actually happened, or what they're saying happened at least. And we'll talk about why you shouldn't necessarily, you got to take everything involved in this with a grain of salt, because everybody lies about national security shit. And when I say lie, I'm not making a moral judgment like they're evil. I'm saying it's their job to lie. And now they lie for self-interested reasons, ass-covering reasons. They lie for national security reasons, and they lie for warmongering reasons. Now, the problem there is when they confuse warmongering for national security, and that's when we get in a whole heap of world trouble, right? But anyway, so the timeline here is the balloon got noticed on January 28th by our government. It was in Alaska. On the 30th, it crossed into Canada. Then the 31st, it crossed into the United States and Idaho. And that's when Biden first asked them to make plans to shoot it down. They talked him out of it for reasons we'll get into in a minute. Thursday, it becomes public because people in Montana can look up in the sky and see it. And also the Pentagon puts out a statement about it. Maybe because they can see it, or maybe they can put out the statement anyway. I don't know. We'll talk about that too. And then Saturday, they shoot her down. In between, a bunch of fucking dumb bullshit happens. But I do want to say this story came out like an hour ago. Chinese balloon part of vast aerial surveillance program, U.S. says. Now, I'm glad. Thank you to the Washington Post for including U.S. says in there, because a lot of this stuff gets treated like it's the word of God. And we ought not do that.
All right. I know. Yeah. I'm getting ahead of us a little bit here, but just from the first time I saw this pop up, I don't know, maybe I'm an idiot or naive or whatever, but my first thought was like, China's spying on us? The hell you say? Surely
right?
Not. I can't believe that any of that, what about Russia? They're not like doing that, are they? Because that would be really alarming if Russia was spying on us. I thought it was only us spying on the whole rest of the world. I didn't think they would actually spy back. Oh my God. Be still my heart. But then I was like, it is weird they're using balloons, though. I thought like balloons feel like kind of antiquated. I was never, I don't know. I never really gave much of a fuck about this Chinese spy balloon is all I'm saying. No. Because from the moment it popped up, I wasn't surprised by it. I don't know. I just don't like the fucking pearl clutch and everybody freaking out over it. Never really made any sense to me. Maybe it's just like there ain't been a whole lot going on and it's exciting for a second and it gives people a chance to beat the war drums or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really get
they beat them. They beat the hell out of them. They're still beating them. And yeah, it's like, it's worth saying China says it's a weather balloon. Now, I'm not saying I trust the Chinese government. I trust the Chinese government less than I trust the American government. I'll just say that front. But they have satellites. They have covert spy drones. There's no reason to use they have human, we've caught a bunch of Chinese spies in various levels of American industry and think tanks and governments. And like this, they don't need to use a fucking Wile E. Coyote balloon to do this shit. There's no reason to like be super suspicious of it. If you wanted to do sophisticated spying, you'd probably use something you could, fucking steer.
I know. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't like, I would 100% take it for granted that they're spying on us all the time at a very high level, with means way beyond a fucking balloon. It's just, that's immediately what I thought, which is why I was like, so it can't be, I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, so maybe it is just a fucking weather balloon. I don't know. Like could be, but even if it's not, it's like, it's not, I don't know. It surely is not really that big of a deal.
Right. And thank God Biden's acting like it's not that big of a deal, because if he was as the only as the rest of these psychos, we'd be in real trouble here, because the real story to me isn't the balloon. It's our reaction to the balloon. And we'll get to our fucking crazy politicians in a minute, but the media did not cover themselves in glory here. This headline pretty much summed it up for me. The U.S. media's Chinese spy balloon meltdown shows intellectual vacuity of national security coverage. People went all in on it was wall-to-wall coverage of how we should be terrified of a goddamn balloon.
Right.
And it's a very big balloon. It was like 200 feet tall, they said, and flying at 65 to 80,000 feet. And they said it weighed, like when they shot it down, it spread debris over 7 square miles. And like, it's like, somebody compared it to the size of 3 buses. Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't want it falling on my house, which we'll get to that in a second. That's why they didn't shoot it down over land. But they took every government narrative, and a bunch of different levers of government were saying different shit about this. And they took the most warlike, scary ones and ran with it. And again, this is an environment where there was a U.S. Air Force general last week who's just in charge of like logistics. Like he just moves around equipment and fuel. And he sent out some memo saying for all of his troops to be ready to go to war with China in less than 3 years. And use some really warlike language, and told his troops to shoot to kill. Again, these are cargo pilots. But like even the same news sounded like this. This is Jake Tapper. And this is fucking insane. If you got this video, Matt.
All right. Well,
I don't see that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So Jake Tapper.
Right.
Yeah, there he goes. Jake Tapper was grilling Pete Buttigieg about this, and this is how it sounded. You got it, Matt?
Yeah. Well, again, it had been some slow news days, Mark. All right.
Yeah.
That's great that there were
lives or property.
obviously that's great that there were no Americans hurt by this. But is it acceptable that there were 8 days that the spy balloon was over the United States, then Canada, then again over the United States, from Idaho, Montana, all the way through the Carolinas for day after day?
Well, as the U.S. has communicated, it's not acceptable at all that China sent this object into our airspace.
Okay, so a couple things there. One, Jake Tapper just straightforwardly called it a spy balloon. He doesn't know it's a spy balloon. All he knows is somebody told him it's a spy balloon, right? And then he's like, is it acceptable? If it's unacceptable, what's step 2 of a thing being unacceptable? What do you do?
Right.
Like, it's like,
balloon. Yeah, I know. I know Biden's caught a lot of shit for not shooting it down immediately. And that was the thing. Why aren't they shooting it down or whatever? But like you already said, they know that shit comes down, right? If it's a fucking massive apparatus the size of 3 buses that's in the sky, it's not going to just like vaporize or explode and drift off into orbit. That ain't how none of that works. Like, it's going to fall somewhere. And I don't think you want it falling over Montana or Idaho or any of them damn places. So
Joe Biden's
was that ever even an option? It's just, it's not hard to understand that shit to me, or at least it shouldn't be. Like,
Joe Biden's fallen for the woke lie known as gravity. Today, Andrew Mitchell went on TV and compared this to fucking Pearl Harbor, because that was the last time we shot down an enemy aircraft over U.S. soil.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, technically, I guess that's sort of true, but why are you comparing this to fucking Pearl Harbor? And here's how.
Well, dude, these people, like some of the hawks out there, we got a very fucking warlike culture, obviously.
Right.
Pretty into war and the military and all that shit. And we ain't really had much war in a while. Meanwhile, we got to watch these other countries have a war that we ain't even in. You know what I mean? It's like they probably got some serious war blue balls going on. So anytime they have even the slightest opportunity to, again, start beating the war drums and shit, like, I'm not really that surprised that they're taking it, because it's like, fucking finally, this is it, because they're just, that shit's what they live for. And they make a lot of money off it and all that stuff. So
there's 2 things going on. Pretty much everybody nowadays considers themselves the protagonist of reality. So therefore, if a war movie happens, you're going to survive it. And we have a really bad case of movie brain in America. We think things go like movies, and it's not like that. But like, I saw one congressman went on TV and said this reminded him of the movie Independence Day. And then this senator was on TV, and here's how he said he found out about the balloon over his home state of Montana.
But I'll tell you how we found out about it. We had Montanans calling our office, saying they're seeing the balloon in the sky. And in fact, we had a lot of Montanans that said, is it okay if I take a shot at it? That's what we heard about it.
Yeah, dude, the only thing that surprises me about that is that they asked for permission first. There was at least a few rounds popped off in the general direction. I realized it was way too fucking high up for it to do anything, but like, these dudes ain't thinking about that. Fucking old boys with guns that floats over their farm or whatever. It's like, some people took some shots at it, I would say. Had to.
Oh, yeah. It was 65,000 feet in the air. So even like you had a 50 cal, it probably got within, I don't know, 11 miles of it.
Right.
So, by the way, if somebody in Montana has the equipment to take down something flying at 65,000 feet, that's a much bigger concern to me than a balloon. Anyway, but like a bunch of people, Don Jr.'s got on Twitter and urged the good people of Montana to try to take it down. Again, he has guns. He's not, even him, I don't think he's that fucking stupid. JD Vance posted a picture of himself. You got to throw it up, Matt, posing with a gun. JD's joking. All right. He's making a joke, but still, fuck you. And the thing that killed me about this was a couple of days earlier, he had endorsed Donald Trump. Now, this is myth that's taking hold on the right, that Donald Trump kept us out of wars. He's the first president in years to not start wars, which is like, he's the first president in a while to not, do a land invasion of a new country. But the idea that he wasn't a warmonger is fucking insane. He took the reins off the goddamn drone program and killed a shit ton of people. Mike Pompeo, Kari Lake, and Paul Gosar all also posted pics about shooting the balloon. we're just so insanely warlike, dude. And one of today's updates was this headline from I think Bloomberg: U.S. seeks Chinese balloon remnants. Says approach to China will stay calm. Yeah, I fucking hopes. Why wouldn't it be calm? It's a balloon.
Right.
It's a balloon that China says floated off course. Now our military says it has some limited steering and motor capabilities, a little fan on the back or something. It can maybe turn left or right a little bit, but China says they lost control of it. And when I don't know, but like, why are we? Nobody died, nothing happened.
Right.
We shot it down. But think about how insane we are as a people that you have to announce you're not nuking Beijing over a fucking balloon. That's how the world sees us. We had to make that statement because people think of us as goddamn insane, and they're right to.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, like I've always thought about, as far as a possible war with China, I've always been skeptical of it just because I feel like there's way too much symbiosis there, financially speaking. Like they make all the dumb shit that we buy, and we buy all the dumb shit that they make and whatever. There's just way too many people making way too much money to, it's not like they got some oil that we want type situation. And so I don't know what it would take. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like crazier shit, has happened. I don't know. That'd be pretty crazy. But like, it ain't going to be a fucking balloon, I can tell you that much.
All the supply chain stuff Americans were fucking shitting their pants over.
Right.
Was like a small dent in stuff coming from China.
I know.
Cut it off completely. Like, Americans have no stomach for enduring a war with China.
No.
Like, you go to Walmart, you're paying $70 for a t-shirt. All right. Nope. Right. People are not going to do that. We would abandon a war fucking immediately. Anyway, but we're all Dr. Strangelove now, so we got to talk real big. Here's a small compilation of some stuff our elected officials said. Representative James Comer, he went on Fox News, Harris Faulkner show, and said he was concerned that the federal government doesn't take it seriously. He says, is it bioweapons in that balloon? Did that balloon take off from Wuhan? All right. Large Brain Marge tweeted that Biden should shoot it down and said, Donald Trump would never tolerate this shit, which is not true. We'll get to that in a minute. Jim Jordan tweeted out that if maybe the Biden administration wasn't so worried about banning your gas stoves, they would have seen these Chinese spy balloon coming. Joe Biden's headed for his vacation in Wilmington tonight while a Chinese spy balloon. He put Chinese in all caps in case you were wondering if he had to make it racist. Right. Chuck Grassley tweeted out some fucking nonsense that I can't even really read. We're running late, so I'll just skip over. You can say it was racist and barely legible. Greg Gianforte, who was a former House Representatives guy, who's now the governor of Montana. He's basically, same guy as literally the same guy as Kevin Costner's character in Yellowstone. He's mostly famous before this for body slamming a reporter who asked him questions, and he was on Fox News doing a live hit when this happened, and this was fun.
Governor, I hate to pull random video off the internet and ask you to respond to it, but this is going around. It appears to be, it's on social media, video of an explosion over your state showing what looks like a smoke trail into the sky. We can't even guess as to what this is. Do you have any information about this?
Not at this point. I was notified of it just minutes before we came on the air. We're monitoring the situation. I'm talking to our National Guard to find out if they have additional information. I'm sure I'll be briefed here in the next hour.
Okay, Matt. So that video
what the hell is that about?
It was a contrail from a jet, as far as anyone could tell, and the flash of light that people were saying was explosion was just the phone adjusting its when phones adjust their light sensations or whatever. There's no explosion.
I'm also dumb about cameras and phones and stuff. So they adjust the stuff with the light and shit and the exposures, shutters.
Yeah, there you go.
All that type of stuff.
So but that was funny as shit to me. The governor of Montana is monitoring the situations, and if things get dire, if there was an explosion of the skies in Montana, he will call up the Yellowstone Park Ranger Air Force to fucking investigate. Anyway, that's the dynamic that's going on here. Joe Wilson and a bunch of other Republican congressmen gave floor speeches yesterday demanding Biden and Harris resign over this. Everyone's being such a big fucking baby. You mentioned this earlier, like everybody spies on everybody.
Right.
We spy on everybody. Everybody spies on us, not just our enemies. We spy on our allies, and our allies spy on us. This headline here, Jonathan Pollard is one of the most damaging spies in U.S. history. He spied for Israel. All right. He
Right.
stole a bunch of American nuclear secrets and gave them to Israel. And we also talked about the guy last year. He worked for he was a sailor in the Navy, and he tried to sell plans for a nuclear submarine to France, and France turned him in because they already had our nuclear spy submarine plans. Didn't need to fucking take this guy's shit. And the publicly available numbers, this is the public numbers. We probably have more that are secret, but America has 290 spy satellites circumnavigating the globe. China's about 160. We're looking at each other all the time anyway.
Right.
And we can skip this part of the Roma video because we're running late, Matt. But it's the stuff Fox suggested. They were just spitballing about there being like chemical attacks, bioweapons attacks. They suggested the balloon was a test run to see if they could do a biological attack. Jesse Waters spitballed using wind turbines to blow it back over Canada so they can have the biological attack, I guess. And he also suggested going kamikaze with the Goodyear blimp. I can never tell when these guys are kidding or not.
Yeah, hey, the only way to take down a balloon is with a bigger balloon. Am I right? A little balloon on balloon violence, fire with fire, baby. Send our balloon at it. Yeah, no, that shit is, all of that is so wild. But like, you said earlier, it's like any opportunity to fear mongering, that's their number one jam. They love when they get a chance to do that. And this was the first like really good opportunity for that in a while. Fear mongering involving like war and shit, buddy. Can't beat that in the American media escape. So,
and as to why we didn't shoot it out earlier, Trey alluded to it, but it's very big and has a bunch of stuff and would have crushed a bunch of stuff. And they had plans to shoot it down anytime they want, but they say that they had the technology they moved military assets out of the path of the balloon. They also apparently used some jamming equipment to keep it from sending signals or something. So they weren't actually worried about what it was collecting. But they could have shot it down at any moment. They chose not to because they were worried it would create a debris field. I'm sorry, I misstated earlier. 20 miles by 20 miles. And here's a quote from a DOD official. The last thing we wanted was for something the size of a school bus to go through the roof of a preschool.
Right.
But on the other hand, according to Fox News, defenders of real America in the heartland, these people do not count.
Hit that video, Matt. Here we go.
Montana has no one living in Montana. Alaska, even less people.
Yeah. All right. So good luck, people of Montana, because Fox News doesn't care if you get dead. Jesse Waters also did a really dumb rant about how, like, if it did fall in your barn, you'd be famous and be able to make money setting up a museum and get to go on Good Morning America. So therefore, you should want the government to blow up the fucking spy balloon over your house.
Yeah. You should want debris to rain down on your property. Think about the magazine photos or whatever. Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous. Well, it's just they had to, they wanted to bitch about him not shooting it down. There's an obvious rationale for why you wouldn't do that. So they had to start fucking with that rationale, poking around at it and, trying to talk shit around that,
Yeah. And of course, we had to go to the partisan blame game here. So everyone's like, actually, there were at least three balloons that flew over during the Trump administration, and then another one earlier in the Biden administration. But like going back to everybody being big babies about this spy shit, it's like this stuff's utterly routine. And Fox News had a graphic today. You don't have to call it up, Matt. I'll just describe it. They showed all the different balloon intrusions from China over the last decade or whatever, over all our different military bases. Now, if you're China watching American news this week, would you at all be wondering why your government was keeping an eye on American military bases to see if anything weird was going on there? Where we're fucking itching for war with everybody all the time?
Right.
I'd want to keep an eye on us.
Yeah.
Right? I'd want to know if a
course.
fucking stealth bomber was taking off from Missouri loaded with nukes heading east. Heading west, sorry. But Dems have this brain too. This is a quote. Let me read this quote from a Representative Mike Quigley from Illinois. Democrat went on CNN Friday. He did say calming things that I want people to think this is something abnormal, but then he said they have to be mitigated, they have to be addressed, we have to confront the Chinese government. How? What do you want to do?
Right.
What's your plan, fucking Mike Quigley?
Yeah. Hey, cut it out with the balloons, huh? Come on. Come on. What are you doing with the balloons over there? Come on. Cut that out. Skit.
Yeah.
You're right. We're sorry. No more balloons. That's how I picture it anyway.
Yeah, having a partisan fucking fight. I'll just read this headline if you call it up, Matt. But there's an honest to God fighting happening in Washington over which party is softer on balloons.
Soft on
Anyway,
balloons.
so to recap this whole thing, if you can follow the narrative here, China sent a spy balloon over strategic U.S. sites in places where there aren't really any strategic U.S. sites. We have missile silos there, but like you can't see a missile silo; they're fucking underground. So what? It shows to spy on these sites with a big visible balloon, visible from the naked eye from 65,000 feet, that anyone can see on the ground, to demonstrate it had the capability to do what?
Do what? Right.
Despite having a plethora of other more discreet ways to spy, like satellites and stealth drones. We seem to be unclear that anyone besides China has mastered the technology of hot air balloons. China chose to do this on the eve of Secretary Blinken's visit to China. This was a big deal. It's the first time a Chinese president has met with the American Secretary of State in a long time. The goal of the meeting was to reduce tensions between our two countries. China wanted that meeting. They would not have fucking provoked us to stop this meeting. And Blinken only didn't go because, every question he got would have been about this dumb fucking balloon.
Right.
But the question is, this has happened all the time. We didn't know about it. It becomes, why did the Pentagon tell us about it? Now, there's a couple possible explanations. They expected Americans to be sane and mature about it, which, LOL.
I doubt that.
They realized people could see it this one time, so they had to say something. Or they wanted the military-industrial complex wanted to sabotage Blinken's efforts to reduce tensions with China. I'm not being conspiratorial about that, but the most likely scenario is probably that it's a series of unfortunate events, hilariously stupid, unfortunate events without malice on either side, and just a balloon float over the fucking Midwest. But the malice in this scenario is on the media's part and the politicians and like in the wider members of the blob, the fucking foreign intelligence operation establishment, the foreign policy establishment, that fucking immediately started agitating for war. And I saw this headline. This is from February 1st, which is basically, I'm not sure, I forgot my time limit. It was around the time the balloon was announced. This headline from The Intercept: White House-linked venture capital fund boasts China war would be great for business. This fucking guy went up at a goddamn public event and said that if China-Taiwan situation happens, some of our investments will be 10x, like overnight. So he's saying, like, because we get most of our microchips from Taiwan, we go to war with China and they seize Taiwan, U.S. government will have to buy our microchips, and therefore our profits will go up tenfold. Hooray.
Right.
Hooray.
Yeah. Well, just saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, the war profiteering, man, it's a few things more American than that. But I mean, yeah.
Right.
Probably ought not say it on the record that war would hit for you for money reasons. But,
yeah,
still.
And I do want to say that, like, I was like, this is one moment where I was very happy that Joe Biden was president, because all these psychos would be way worse. Any of those motherfuckers in the House of Representatives, the Senate, going on TV, agitating for like Dr. Strangelove shit. But one of Biden's best traits, he does not trust the blob or the military-industrial complex. Remember when he pulled out of Afghanistan? He essentially told him, "I'm sick of your lying bullshit." And it's like, because they always say, we just need another 6 months. Just another 6 months. 6 more months of war and we'll win. He's like, nah, just fucking leave. And he called them on their bullshit, and we got out of a forever war. But yeah, the media did not cover themselves in glory. And it reminded me of that William Randolph Hearst, who pretty much created a war in Cuba, the Spanish-American War, out of thin air by manufacturing a bunch of stories. And when he sent an illustrator to cover the war in Cuba, there wasn't anything going on. The guy wrote back, there was no war to cover. And he just said, "You furnish the pictures, I'll furnish the war." And then we invaded Cuba.
Yep.
Yeah.
The more things change.
Go read the lyrics to 99 Love Balloons, the translation. They predicted all this, that fucking 80s song, a German techno pop song.
Yeah. I always knew it was prophetic. I used to say that. Said one day, 99 loose balloons will be proven true. Matt, get us some comments and stuff. Throw them up there. Comments and questions. Mark, you excited about the State of the Union starting when we get off? Yeah, Cindy Archer says this would be a good time to use the Jewish space lasers. It's a good point. Would have been helpful for that.
Yeah, if you've wondered at any point, I mean, I'm not going to say that. If we had space lasers, I was going to say we might have used them on the balloon. I'm not sure. I didn't know we could fly to 65,000 feet to shoot this motherfucker down. So I was just thinking about being up that high, and I almost had a panic attack. My fear of heights is so bad. But yeah, I didn't even think about it. Yeah. Well, Matt's looking for some more comments. I got a...
Robert Draper says you can Google the location of the missile silos.
Yeah, that's why you have them on submarines, so you can move them around so they can't get all of them. So I want to do a quick George Santos update because this is too good to, while Matt's looking for some more comments. George Santos claimed he produced Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark for some damn reason. Yeah, so Bloomberg found out when he was fundraising for Congress, he claimed he had produced from Spider-Man After Dark. And if you're not a Broadway buff, as Trey and I are,
Right.
Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was a huge fucking catastrophe that,
Yeah.
you know, injured a bunch of and crippled a bunch of their Spider-Man. We're talking multiple serious leg injuries and one stunt performer, 2 broken wrists at the same time. And
yeah,
so
no,
while you
I'm
would-
not. I'm not a huge Broadway guy, but I definitely am aware that that's like one of the most like legendary failures or bombs or whatever you want to call it in the history of, you know, that
it lost-
industry. And so it's funny, it's wild that he would choose that one. I don't know. This dude is just so
Yeah.
wild, man. Maybe he was like, well, people, maybe they'll think that, you know, no one would willingly associate be true. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's embarrassing, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Debbie Lynn Robinson says, hit the like button. Thank you very much for that. I had
Yeah.
forgotten. Like, subscribe,
It,
all that stuff. It helps.
Yeah, that play
Evidently.
lost $60 million in its 3-year attempted run. I don't think it ever made it out of the trial phase, but they prompted this quote from one of the other producers said, "Of all the tribulations the producers of Spider-Man had to endure, we are very pleased, proud, and relieved to report working with George Santos is not one of them." So yeah, that was
That's
that
a
was
pretty
funny to
good
me.
slam. Yeah, I
Mhm.
like it. Kim Cusado says, will there be Skews on Valentine's Day? Will your wives let you? We hadn't even talked about it, but I mean, yeah, I'm right. Yeah, we'll do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. If we go
Yeah,
out, we'll go out the
I don't
weekend
know.
or something.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't, we probably won't do too much. I'll get her some chocolates or something. I'm a pretty big, listen, sorry, lady. I love my wife. We got a good relationship. Valentine's Day, not a fan. I never have been. It's some commercialized horseshit. It got invented just to make people buy flowers and chocolates and stuff. And I won't buy into their propaganda. Okay. I refuse to. Not
Yeah.
just because I'm lazy or anything like that. I just,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to bow down to big Hallmark. You know, I'll get her something. It'll be fine.
I'm
Don't worry
s-
about Cody.
I'm sweet to my wife 24/7, 365. I don't need
There
an
you
occasion.
go. Don't need
Plus
a
our-
day. Don't need a day
Yeah.
to be sweet to my wife. All right. That's every day ending in Y. I'm with you,
Yeah.
Mark. We're super sweet guys who love our wives very much. Jeff Curry says, I'm starting to think the whole groundhog looking for its shadow thing is bullshit.
Whoa, Jeff, I will not have you besmirching the integrity of a beloved weather forecasting groundhog.
No, neither one of them. Neither Puxatawny Phil or General Beauregard Lee. Jim Gray says, what y'all's take on the State of the Union theme on blue collar workers?
I mean, Biden has done a lot to, like, I mean, the jobs economy, side of the economy has been great, and but the Fed, I don't know why he won't fire. I know he has limited control of the Federal Reserve, but he could yell at them to trying to engineer a recession to put all those people out of work, and he won't fucking do anything about it. But luckily, none of their efforts have worked yet. But he is supposedly going to announce a proposed tax on billionaires, so that'd be cool because billionaires can afford it. It's not like it. Some of them are evil and greedy, and I hate them. But also, just they have money, so we as a society need to pay for stuff. If you're going to take money to pay for it, it should be the people that have the most of it, right? Seems straightforward.
Right. I don't know. They also need to make them pay people more generally. You know what I mean? Outside of just tax them too. But it's also just the fact that like people, you know, that wages have not kept up with cost of living, inflation, and all that stuff. And it makes a huge difference. And they're never going to just voluntarily do that shit. So, you know, Jenny Knowles says, we believe a groundhog, but not climate change. Ha ha. Only in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Well, no, also in Georgia. Now, but Poxatawny, is that right? Poxatawny, something, whatever. Old Phil up there in Pennsylvania, he's a worldwide superstar. You know, a lot of people tune in to see what he's got to say about the issue.
You know, when they
not
were
me,
shooting the movie Groundhog Day, that Bill Murray got bit by a bunch of those groundhogs.
Yeah, that checks out. I've never heard of this. Mark, you heard of this? Melissa Bean Felder says Possum Sam in Alabama. So I guess they got a meteorologist possum in Alabama by the name of Sam.
All right.
Sam from Alabama. Okay, why not? Nothing at all inherently more weird or absurd about that than a fucking groundhog. Matter of fact, I respect that more because like it's some originality. You know what I mean? Georgia just like ripped off a thing that already existed completely. At least Alabama was like, hey, let's Alabama it up a little bit, make it a fucking possum. I respect that. Chris Webster says, Trey, they shot down the friggin' Wizard of Oz. You killed it in Orlando. Love you. Thank you, Chris. That was a great time in Orlando. Thanks for coming.
Did you say you performed in a church in Orlando?
No, that was Fort Lauderdale.
Oh.
Orlando, I was at the Orlando Improv, but in Fort Lauderdale, I was at the world's largest LGBT church. And so, like, when I heard that, and also just that they wanted me to come there, immediately I was like, okay, so it's not really a church then, right? And then I get an Uber from my hotel. We pull into the parking lot, and I was like, yo, that's a fucking church right there. Like, you would never mistake. It was so churched out, like unmistakable as anything, could not be anything else but a church. And then I was like, damn, I don't know about this, but they were obviously a very different type of church, and it was a really good time.
Were you decked out in your Sam Harris, Sam Smith devil top
outfit?
Yeah.
No, but I said a lot of Satan-y type stuff, and they let me get away with it, so that was fun. Eric J. Laufenberg says, Trey Crowder, I'm glad your computer's working this week, so you could be here for the entire Skewsday. Yeah, me too. I'm thrilled. They said it takes 7 to 10 business days, and I think it ended up taking like 7-ish. I thought for sure it'd be 10. So yeah. Thank you. Melrose Mac, the Apple people here in Burbank who fixed it. Judy Kidder Browning says that was a great interview in Fort Lauderdale, Trey. Oh, thanks. Yes, I also did a Queer News Tonight. They got a news or media situation that is like, it literally shares a parking lot with the church. I don't know if they're formally connected or run by the same people or what. They definitely have some sort of connection. But yeah, it was a good interview, and that was fun. Shout out to Al and everybody at Queer News Tonight. Third Eye 2020 says, if Raccoon Rick smokes his shadow in Florida, 420 more weeks of winter. That's a good one. I like that one. Raccoon Rick. Figure y'all have like a alligator or something. Yes, to either rip a leg off or not to determine when winter ends.
I have a comment actually, Trey.
Yeah. Oh God.
So State of the Union will be like the 5th work day this year for the Senate. So they actually have to show up and do something, which is just watch Joe Biden talk. All they've done is sworn new members, recessed for 3 weeks. They've taken 5 roll call votes so far this year. Again, it's February 7th. One was to confirm Assistant Secretary of Defense. The other 2 were to confirm board members for the U.S. Institute of Peace. They're doing a bang-up job, ready to go war with a balloon. The final 2 were to vote on resolutions that were to observe National Trafficking and Modern Slavery Prevention Month. And the other one was to designate January as National Stalking Awareness Month. So yeah, the Senate's working hard for the American people, baby.
As always. Yeah. No, yeah.
Do you believe they thought John Fetterman didn't have the faculties to do this fucking job?
Right. I know. Yeah. I mean, we've said it a million times before, but like doing stuff is not, really their thing as a general rule. Even when they get together to do stuff, they still mostly just don't do any stuff, But the vast majority of the time, they're not even there like pretending like they might do stuff, Then they show up to do stuff, and then they get like, and then at the end of it, they're like, yeah, we couldn't get any stuff done. We're gonna leave for 6 more weeks or whatever. And so,
they didn't impeach Trump because they wanted to go home for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, say, goddamn, we're gonna be here for Valentine's Day. We ain't in the Senate. You fucking your jobs are way more important.
We have to work for a fucking living.
Yeah, unlike some fucking people, you pieces of shit in Washington, D.C. I mean, they really don't hit for me, though, as a general rule. The vast majority of them. But anyway, I guess some of them are okay. Anyway, all right, about to wrap it up. Thank you guys again. Remind you real quick before you go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out the tickets. Matt, I'm about to need to update that graphic again because, adding new dates all the time. Come and see me sometime soon. TreyCrowder.com for tickets. Also, go to weeklyskews.com/more or go on Patreon and look me up. You'll find a weekly Skews tier on there. And for $5 a month, you get full-length bonus episodes and you support the show in the process, which we would greatly appreciate. So, consider doing all of that stuff. Happy February. I don't know wherever you're at in the country. If it is wintertime there, it ain't really wintertime where me and Mark are, but I go to places where it's wintertime and I'm cold the whole time I'm there. So my heart goes out to you and I hope you stay warm. Some of you people from the frigid north, you got thicker blood. You're better at it. So I'm sure you're doing fine. Ice fishing and all that kind of shit. Anyway, we'll see you on Valentine's Day, I guess, 7 days from now, the next Skewsday, Cupid's Day. We'll get all sweet and lovey-dovey and stuff. Mark will eat chocolate slowly on camera for everybody. That's what we'll do. I'm saying it now.
Yeah.
All right. See you. Love you.